Are you looking to start a business partnership or get into an existing business partnership? These are the things you need to do to make sure that that's successful. Kevin Weir, your action business coach, helping you achieve your business dreams. I want to talk today about partnerships. Now, you've probably heard a lot about the negative downside of business partnerships. They're contentious, they're bad working conditions that's destined to fail. And you know what? There's a lot of truth in that. It is not easy to do a business partnership, and I've seen a lot of business partnerships fail. In an ideal world, you wouldn't have a partner. You'd go in there and you'd do it yourself. But guess what? We don't live in an ideal world. And a lot of the times we need a partner who has a different set of skills and a different set of resources so that we can maximize our effectiveness in growing and developing a business. But there's some specific things that you need to do to make sure that your partnership is successful. Let's go ahead and dive into this. So the first thing you need to do to make sure your business partnership is effective is you need to know what both parties want out of the business. Now, you could say, well, we both want, net profit to come out of the business so we can take care of our families. Great. But guess what? There are some things that are also necessary that each one of you need from the business, but if it's never talked about, then how are you going to know what the other one needs? So for example, let's say one partner wants this to be someplace where he works 25 hours a week and then spends the rest of the time up at the lake with their families. And the other partner wants to work 50 hours a week and not really have a social life. Well, guess what? Those two might be in conflict with each other. And if those have not been dealt with or drilled down and figured out what you both want and you both agree that it's fit, then you're going to have a lot of frustration with each other as a partner. So we need to know, each partner knows what the other one wants to get out of the business. Make it crystal clear. The second thing we need to know, business partnership basics, is are your values compatible? And I'm not just, and the way you know that they're compatible is that you actually have a long discussion on the important things of life. Is it spiritual compatibility? A lot of Christian business owners need to only work with other Christian business owners. The Bible is very clear about not being unequally yoked with somebody, and that's not only in marriage, but that's also in business partnerships. So you need to really drill down on what are those values? Do you value family? Do you value time off? Do you value community effectiveness? Do you value working in your church? Or whatever that looks like for you. You may have to make sure, because if one person's values are incompatible to another person's value, ultimately that's going to have a pattern crossing where you're not going to feel comfortable with decisions the other person makes, and it's going to create a massive amount of conflict. So we have to understand, are your values compatible? The number 3 thing you need to do to make sure that your business partnership is successful is, do both of you agree on a vision and what those goals are to obtain the vision? Too many business partnerships I see, they get into partnership, they start a business, they keep going with it, and then all of a sudden one partnership has a vision and the other partnership has a totally different vision. And they never talked about it at the beginning of starting the business or at the start of the partnership. You need to start, even if you're just starting this business, both of you have to agree on, where do we want to take this business? What's it going to look like in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? What are the goals that we want them to therefore establish to get to that vision? If you can't agree on those visions and goals, it's going to basically portend to disaster in your business partnership. So you need to make sure your visions and goals are both agreed to. Now, the number 4 thing you need to do is you need to have an exit plan for one or both business partners. Now, always remember this mantra is that both of you will have a 100% chance of exiting the business because the immortality pill has not been invented. So eventually both of you will exit the business. What's that going to look like? How will we manage that? And maybe that's 25 or 30 years down the road. But you have to talk about it today because at some point that's going to happen. What are the contingency plans then also if an exit is unforeseen? How is that exit going to transpire? So let's say that we get to this point in business and one partner wants to buy out the others. We obviously have buy-sell agreements with each other. That's fine. But you have to have a little bit more of a deeper conversation going, this is what I view my exit is going to look like from the business. And the other partner has to have that talk too. So you figure out at the end of the day, are we going to sell this together? Am I going to buy out your shares? Are you going to basically melt away from the business and be a silent partner for a while and maybe hand it over to a child, whatever? You've got to come to that sort of level of agreement before you get this partnership started. Now, the 5th thing we need to work on to make sure we have an effective partnership is, do you both have job descriptions written down with duties and responsibilities and key performance indicators that both of you be responsible for? I had a client one time. It was a partnership, and they would both come to coaching sessions. And one day, only one of the partners came in, and his name was Eric. And I said, "Where's Ken?" And he used the 4 words no business coach ever wants to hear. We need to talk. And when those 4 words come out of a client's mouth, it's going to be an oh crud moment. Now what? So basically what happened is he said, how am I going to buy? I want out of this partnership. I need to buy him out. How much would I have to use? And I did a back of the envelope valuation of his business, gave him the number, and he goes, I can't afford that. And I said, of course you can't. So what are we going to do to make this partnership work? And we started diving in and come to find out they were just free-forming it. Ken did his thing, Eric did his thing, and they were playing in each other's sandbox constantly. So one of the things I had to do with them is I had to have both of them put a job description, very defined duties and responsibilities for each of them, and they agreed that they had to have the permission of the other person to play in that person's sandbox. Well, guess what it did? It created boundaries, and boundaries are great to have as a partnership. And the way you define boundaries is having those job descriptions, duties and responsibilities, key performance indicators. So you have to have that structured. Now, the 6th thing you need to do to have an effective partnership is, are your management styles compatible with each other? As you grow this business, you're going to have to hire employees. How do each one of you manage? If one employee is the softie and one employee is the hard ass, that's going to create confusion with the team. They're all going to go to the softie, and the hard ass is going to get frustrated, and then it creates a lot of confusion and chaos. So you have to understand how each of you are going to manage the business as you grow it so that your management styles have a level of compatibility with each other. And then finally, the 7th thing that we have to take a look at and have an effective business partnership is, do you know your partner's family members? Have you developed a relationship? Because I have seen this happen before, is 2 partners are working together, but a spouse, children, influencers don't like the other partner and or the other partner's family. And now you have behind the scenes backbiting and all sorts of things. And I have seen this before where you have 2 partners and the wife of one partner doesn't like the other partner, and they don't disagree. Now all of a sudden the partner's partner's spouse is whispering into that partner, trying to turn that partner against the other partner. How do you rectify that? You start developing relationships with the spouse. You start having dinners with them. You get to know them and understand them, and you develop a friendship with them. Because if you don't do that, there's going to be a lot of negative whispers that could potentially happen. A partner comes home one day from the business and starts griping about what's going on, and that spouse starts going, well, you need to, you need to, you need to, and it just builds up resentment, and then it just spirals out of control. So you have to have those dinners, have the get-togethers, develop those levels of relationship, so when struggles do come, you're dealing with a friend, not a spouse who you barely know, who's going to try to undercut you. So that's a key factor. So if you are having a partnership issue right now in your business, I would love to talk with you and see what's going on and what can be done to solidify your partnership. If you can't get your partnership fixed, and how would you separate out? How would you buy the other person out? We can discuss what that looks like. If you need a professional who really knows how to manage partnerships effectively, got resources for you. So if you're interested, if you need to, I've got a link below to do a bit evaluation of what things you need to work on your business. Click below, fill it out. We'll have a chat. Okay? Take care. Make your partnership work. Do those things I've talked to you about today. Make it happen.